autonomous mobile vehicles. So the AGVs that these track around the plant are autonomous. They say picture speaks 1,000 words, a video probably speaks 1,015. But here we see in this video, we're watching from General Electric Aviation in North Carolina. The robots in this view are tending 4 of 12 stations. We can only see 4 of the stations in this video. The robots move parts through the process. No conveyors, no lines on the floor, magnetic tape, using the autonomous vehicle so it can go from machine to machine, carrying parts. The original team in 2015, seen here at GE Power Technical Development Center in South Carolina. GE Ventures put $4 million into Auto ClearPath. Auto ClearPath makes the autonomous vehicles. And for our team, we got unit number 1. So this is their first unit and their first prototype. Once we put a mobile robot in front of customers, went through rapid changes based on customer feedback. So we went from the first unit to very industrial unit within a year. Next, GE Aviation came to us. They wanted a unit for small parts. These are small parts that go in jet engines. The Capriol team built a demonstration unit using a single smaller Auto 100 and a FANUC collaborative robot. This is the first chassis we built. This is actually in the hallway. Once we got the first chassis moving, we wanted to take it to the boss's offices and show him it. So we drove it down the hall. Okay, with what we learned, the Capriol team designed new units from the ground up with our scaling partners, De Facto Robotics in Troy, Michigan, including new software and controls. So these were the actual production units we delivered on the smaller units. After that, the Capriol team's next challenge came from Corning fiber optic cable. Large units were redesigned to handle 220 pounds. This was a FANUC referral. FANUC Robotics sales told Corning to call Capriol. FANUC Robotics has been our best sales force. In all these Capriol sales, we had help from FANUC Robotics. Okay, I don't want to bore you with the specifics on our software solutions. Your eyes may glaze over and you'll fall asleep. I've had it happen before. But this slide shows some of what you'll get in the software packages to make this work. So FANUC Robotics invited us to the IMTS show in Chicago at the end of last year. This is the Capriol technical team at the show. For 2023, just last Monday, we got a purchase order for $1 million from Auto. Auto ClearPath has given us an order as part of their team for units going to Toyota Kentucky assembly plant. Units will be used for line-side delivery. And these are proposals we're working on. I've heard from these two today, and I haven't heard from them today, but in the last week. It's American Axle, Allison Transmission, National Renewable Energies Laboratory, where they make wind turbine blades. Very long. And I want to give a big thank you to David Bloom. David put a lot of work into Capriol's presentation, getting it down to 4 minutes. And thank you, Pointe Angels, for inviting us to your meeting. Give us an opportunity to share with you.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Next up, we've got Kevin Lasser for RevKeep. And the funny thing here with the story of RevKeep's raise is it's relevant to us for a couple of reasons. The one that strikes me as a entrepreneur turned angel is the appreciation for what the entrepreneur goes through on one of these raises, from the inception from the budgeting and figuring out what you want to raise and where you're going to raise it, all the way through the horse trading that it takes to get to the finish line. Kevin, tell
I
us.
didn't go through any of that.
Tell us how you did it.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out when I started my first company. I don't know when it was, but I had black hair and one chin. That's how long it was. The first company I started, I had $4,500 in the bank in savings. I didn't know what a VC was. I didn't know to get outside capital. I didn't even think it was available. So my executive summary and business plan said the same thing: sell a lot of shit. And I did. 10 years later, we sold to Pitney Bowes. 17 years ago, I started a telehealth company because a big hospital, OSF St. Francis, if you know OSF St. Francis out of Illinois, they wanted live streaming video off of these things. I believe we were the first company to offer that. And my business plan and executive summary said, actually it said, make really good friends with OSF St. Francis and their stroke network. So they'll introduce you to all their friends, and then you can sell a lot of shit. 10 years later, we sold to Stryker. So then I'm not somebody who can sit around. I work for a living. I like working. I was on this side for 5+ years. Fell in love with a company called RevKeep. And what is RevKeep? Well, here's what RevKeep is. I had sciatica surgery, right? Leave the hospital. Hospital gets paid from the insurance company anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks later, right? End of story, right? Wrong. There's a thing called a post-payment audit. And these hospitals have 6% of their revenue is hit with these post-payment audits. You know what electronic health record system is? We are an electronic health record system for these post-payment audits. Our biggest competition is Excel spreadsheets. As you could tell, I have a double-digit IQ. And in my wisdom, I said this to my tech team: make the software really, really pretty, and make it really, really easy to use so it can pass the Kevin test. Kevin can use it without any instruction, and they've done an absolutely beautiful job. I've put more than $500,000 into this company on my own. The other partners put a little bit of money in. I thought it would be cool to raise some outside money when COVID hit. And my partner said, this is a really bad time to raise. And I said, I don't think it is. I think VCs give money the same way that lions roar. It's not going to stop. And so I went to 6 different VCs. 4 of them gave us offers. We took 1. So I have a really high batting average. And when I contacted David, I said, I'm going to talk to other people. And a day and a half later, I had the money. So I think we get the money because I sort of think the way that you think. Like, I don't understand how Uber makes money. They don't make money. Uber doesn't make money. And I don't believe in those models. I believe in companies that make money, right? So the best thing that you could do for me today is, somebody at a hospital, maybe a CFO, somebody in revenue cycle management. I don't know if I'm going to be raising any money. I mean, one of the reasons I love this company so much is it's so profitable. When we were selling these stroke carts, cost $7,500 to build. We were selling them for $35,000. Our profit margin on the software is much higher. And you get into one hospital system, and I have to tell you that the IT systems at hospital, if anybody's from a hospital here, sorry, but the IT systems that hospitals use are pure shit. And they see ours, and it's really pretty, and it's really easy, and it does so many different things that we're getting referrals inside of the hospitals now. So we're growing inside of these hospitals. That's it. Anyway,
It sounds so easy.
it's not easy to see what's happened to me, but it's fun. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Who has availed themselves of the breadless sandwiches?
Oh, it's fantastic. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sensational.
Love to hear
So
it.
we got a first in the history of Point Angels is the guy responsible for the sandwiches is pitching tonight. So to the main event, 2 spectacular ventures who couldn't be more different from each other. First off, we've got Mark Howland with Breadless, who has visited Breadless down. It's between Jefferson and Larned. Craig, you've been there. I went there right after I talked to Mark and was really pleased with it. But I was more pleased with what the screening team had to say when they were weighing the pros and cons and deciding who was going to pitch tonight. That's that enough an intro for you to hook up your thing? I'm just vamping here, man.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we should be
Plug in your plug. You should have told her to do that one. There you go. And stay behind the microphone. That way, folks at home can hear you. Is that us?
All right.
All right, good man. All right, we'll do that a little smoother next time.
All right. We should
Mark
be good
with
to go.
Breadless, your 15 minutes begins now.
Well, good evening, everyone. How is everyone? Doing great. Love to hear it. As mentioned, my name is Mark Howland. I am the co-founder and CEO of Breadless. Look forward to all of those who have not had the opportunity to try it here to come try it out at the store. We are the first and only 100% gluten-free restaurant that specializes in delicious sandwiches and bowls without any bread. So show of hands, actually a question. How many of you who have ever gone into a restaurant and asked for a lettuce bun or a lettuce wrap or a low-carb and gluten-free option? Okay, I see a good amount of hands. Now keep your hand up if you were extremely delighted with the experience. I see a lot of hands falling. So I can relate. I've been that guy for over a decade, and this is what has come back. Yes, these are actual photos, and this is ridiculous. What is this? I've been the guy who's been eating low-carb and gluten-free ever since I was a collegiate athlete at Brown University, and it changed my life. But it's been difficult. Why? Because the most widely accessible options are sandwiches, wraps, and salads. Sandwiches and wraps, obviously high in carb and full in gluten. And salads can be great at times, but they're just not always great for an on-the-go situation. And apparently it's not just us. Over 34 million people, representing $100 billion in spend, are opting for healthier options at quick service restaurants. Over 25% of people say that they're gluten-free, either for legitimate medical reasons, i.e. being celiac, or for just overall health. Over 15 million people are opting for a low-carb lifestyle. So we founded Breadless as the first and only 100% gluten-free quick service restaurant specializing in savory sandwiches and bowls without any bread. So you may be thinking, well, what do you offer? Great question. We use nutrient-dense leafy super grains such as Swiss chard, turnip greens, collard greens that not only are packed nutritional value, but also have very unique flavor profiles. Our menu includes 9 to 10 chef-curated sandwiches. We have delicious meat, vegetarian, vegan, Whole30, and even halal-friendly options at an entry price of $9.75 per sandwich. But we also have warm greens bowls, chopped salads, soups, cold-pressed juices, breadless teas, and vegan and gluten-free desserts. We opened our first Breadless location 9 months ago at 2760 Larned Street, which is right outside of downtown Detroit. Here's some photos of what it looks like inside the shop. And we have several capabilities, all specialized around ease for the customer, including made-to-order walk-in. We have our own rewards app for pickup, delivery, curbside catering. We're on all third-party apps, as well as we have catering delivery. I actually delivered that catering order here today as well, but I don't deliver every order, of course. And then we also have our own Breadless grab-and-go vending fridges as well. Our first 9 months have been busy. Since opening in March of 2022, we've done over $475,000 in sales at an average order size over $16 and served over 20,000 customers with an average order on all third-party apps and Google of more than 4.7. To give a little bit more context on this location, Breadless #1 is not anchored by any major office or retail. It's not particularly walkable, but we still have customers coming to us as a destination and spending more than $16 per order. Here's a few pictures of us in action. This is us catering the Forbes Under 30 conference on the left. We actually won the fan favorite at the Forbes Food Festival as well. Here's a picture of us in several activations that we have outside our space. And here's us taking over section 116 at Comerica Park. And you can actually find us at Little Caesars Arena right now as well. We've been being featured across all major media in Detroit, which has been really a blessing to see, as well as we've amassed a large organic following on social media, including over 8,700 people on just Instagram alone. So who are we? We're a dynamic team representing the finance, food service, and marketing worlds. I'm a second-time founder, first-time CEO, and graduate from Brown University and Harvard Business School with honors. Before founding Breadless, I got a job at Jimmy John's, the sandwich maker, for $10 an hour just to learn and do market research. Before that, I was an investment banker and private equity investor at Goldman Sachs and the Carlyle Group in New York. Our co-founder and chief product officer, Ryan Salter, is a 10-year restaurant veteran, having catered for celebrities and chefs celebrities and weddings across the nation, as well as open restaurants grossing millions in sales per year. Before that, he was leading digital marketing and app development at Fiat Chrysler. Our co-founder and chief marketing officer, LC, is a Detroit native, Cranbrook and University of Michigan Law School of Business alum, as well as a marketing and product veteran, having experience from Gray Worldwide and Publicis, as well as 360i, Verizon, and Microsoft. Jason Bryce, our director of operations, I actually worked for him when I got the job at Jimmy John's. He was a 13-year restaurant veteran at Jimmy John's who joined us as director of operations. We also have two phenomenal marketing members, San and Noor, who manage all of our social media and put together a lot of really cool stuff. And we have a large in-store culinary team of 10 plus people as well. Our mission is to bring nutritious breadless meals to neighborhoods everywhere across the country and create a home for those who have always had to order off of the menu due to their dietary preferences or restrictions. And our vision is to create hundreds of entrepreneurs via affordable breadless franchise ownership. We are raising $1.5 million via a standard safe note, plain vanilla, $9 million post-money cap, 20% discount, led by our existing investors. We have $400,000 of capacity that we're looking to get wrapped up in the next few weeks. We have a very experienced and seasoned current investor base, including actually our own breadless customers who came in just to buy food, who turned into investors. The former CEO of Panera Bread, as well as the CEO of Lettuce Entertain You Enterprises, as well as emerging group out of Chicago that specifically works with food and entertainment brands to scale. Detroit investors, Invest Detroit, as well as Detroit Venture Partners, as well as several seasoned finance executives who have experience in retail from Goldman Sachs, the Carlyle Group, as well as Apex Partners and SoftBank. We also have several people who have angel-backed several multi-billion-dollar companies. So why am I talking to you all today? It is very important to me as a Detroit-based brand to continue to invite others from Detroit to participate in this growth story as we position ourselves to be the category leader nationwide in a category that doesn't exist for breadless meals. And our use of funds is going to be to open our first expansion location, which we're looking at in some of the suburbs right around Detroit is the primary use of funds that we're looking to get that one open in Q3 of 2023. To continue to follow in that trajectory, opening this location in Q3 2023, we then plan to open another 2 in 2024 so that by the end of 2024, we are a proven multi-unit concept with a position to be able to scale nationwide via a hybrid company-owned and franchise-owned model with a couple hundred locations open by 2030. This question has come up before, so just to let you know, this is a long-term investment opportunity that we're looking at investor monetization over 5 to 15 years. This space has proven itself for proven brands to be able to have several VCs or private equity investors who will participate in future rounds of financing where early investors have had the opportunity to cash out. This is also a space that has some very well-known strategics and private equity buyers, including Inspire Brands, Restaurant Brands International, who just announced they're buying Firehouse Subs for over $1 billion. And we've actually already spoken with the board at RBI as well. The IPO story is also one that has prior precedent Sweet Green, a salad company that opened in 2007, IPO'd in 2021 for $1.5 billion. Breadless is the next growth story, and I'm excited to invite the Detroit community to join us on this journey as we build Breadless from a Detroit-based brand to a nationwide brand. Thank you. Who wants to come along for the ride?
Who has questions for Mark?
Yes, sir.
Who's your company? So there's other Breadless concepts, right? I assume throughout the United States.
There's no other concept throughout the United States that specializes in sandwiches and bowls made with leafy super greens, or that has that can offer sandwiches that's 100% gluten-free. Not only are 25% of the people gluten-free, 77% of them are concerned about cross-contamination, and therefore, if you're concerned about that, you can't come into a place that serves bread.
They just don't have what you have, or there's no Breadless concept.
There's no Breadless based concept nationwide. No.
Tell us about revenue creation at your first store and how you ramp up stores 2 and 3 in there.
I actually think stores 2 and 3 are going to do higher revenue than the first store for a couple of reasons. So this store is on track to do about run rating about 630 some thousand annually, because we've done over 450,000 just in 9 months, which is a little. 10:30 to 8 Monday through Saturday, 11 to 6 on Sunday. Now in this space, it's generally thought of as you want to be in prime traffic areas that have a large captive audience with people who are looking to spend and have average household incomes above 75,000, et cetera. That is absolutely not where we are, and we're doing these volumes here. The next locations are going to be in some of the suburbs. We're looking at everything from Troy, Birmingham, Rochester Hills, Grosse Pointe, et cetera, as well. And so the vision is that we'll have a few different locations, open one in Detroit and a couple around the suburbs, and then expand to either Chicago or Columbus, Cleveland. Who's helping us with our real estate is Emerging. So they actually we're their youngest restaurant brand they've ever gotten involved with. They actually invested into the company, but they're also our master broker. They use data science to help us optimize exactly where all of our real estate footprints are going to go, where they do use mobile cell phone data, GPS data, purchasing data, and triangulate all of that in conjunction with other target areas that you would deem, other target restaurants that you would deem as benchmarks to help to narrow down locations, and then collaborate with local brokers as well to help us. And so as we expand to other locations, we're expecting our AUVs to be at least above 800,000 and to be triangulating towards industry standard metrics of 60% prime cost, about 10% occupancy cost, 10% other OPEX. So you to have an EBITDA margin from 15 going to 20%. Our build out costs are for the first store was about 300,000 because we have a lot of prime finishes, et cetera. It's going to be about the same for the next store as well. If you add everything, including equipment, all of that, just to be conservative, if let's say that it's 450 all in, then if you're doing at 900,000 in revenue, then you're going to have over 150,000 EBITDA. So that's going to be over 35% return on investment once the store wraps up.
The food is good. Has anybody ever had an unwich from Jimmy John's? It's the same stuff in a lettuce wrap. This is fantastic food.
Well, thank you,
come
Kevin.
back for the food.
Follow on to the question about revenue. You talked in your investor slide about early out opportunities. You don't hear that a lot. You elaborate.
Absolutely. So this is not a software company that tomorrow is going to become a $1 billion company. This is going to be a sustainable company that's going to require multiple rounds of investment and future financing. And in each subsequent round of financing, early investors who have the opportunity to participate will have the opportunity to sell their shares to other investors coming in. That's a very standard practice that exists in the VC financing community. Yes.
First, I'd second a couple of things. The food was delicious. It's much better than anything else that is comparable. Second.
Thank you.
I used to work in the area where the store is located, and I would agree it's a horrible location. I don't know if I should applaud your sales or worry about your judgment.
So,
But to get to my question, I guess, it's a new concept, new idea, single store. So I would be a little worried about is the novelty effect drawing people from all over to try it out, to try this new thing, and your sales are overinflated because you've got this phenomena effect that's not going to be long lasting. So have you done anything, or is there an ability to track recurrence of customers? Can you track credit card numbers and see their stickiness to that customer relationship?
Yes. So I think that would be a concern so a couple of things. Yes, we absolutely can track to some extent how many customers are coming back. There's the intangible, non-quantitative. You see the same people who come in, right? But then there's also, we have our own rewards app as well as our DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, and all of that. And an interesting statistic is that we have, of all of our third-party channels, we've acquired over 50% of them are coming through our own digital medium and outcompeting DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. And on those platforms, we have, I can't tell you the exact percentage, but we do have a meaningful percentage of people who are getting repeat purchasers across all of the platforms. And this has been over 9 months, right? If we had opened and this was, call it a 1 to 2, 3 month thing, then I would be more, I would be thinking that more so than right now. Like, we have a consistency of people continuing to come through. And as you mentioned, we intentionally went to this location for the reason why you go to, I'm not going to call it any particular brands, but convenient sandwich places is because it's convenient, right? It's not because you love their food necessarily. It's because it's convenient. So to me, to create a concept that we wanted to prove that people would enjoy in Detroit as well, is to put it somewhere that is not going to make it just it's next door, so we're going to go there. People come to us as a destination and enjoy it, and are coming back consistently, which is why now that this location is proof of concept, show that there's demand and build a market. The next location is going to be to continue to expand that revenue profile and begin to continue to accelerate that brand and work towards us being able to demonstrate those tier 1 industry standard economics, which is why this is a early stage round. Oh, thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
For your future business plans, what percentage of your growth is going to be planned to be franchise versus company-owned stores?
So we believe that we need to at least have a couple of corporate-owned stores in major cities in order to be sort of the hub and help to monitor what's going on. But we would love to accelerate growth meaningfully on the franchise side, because the way I see it is the mission is to get Breadless everywhere, right? And how can you accelerate that mission and also do it in a less dilutive fashion is to capitalize on franchise owners, which enables people to become entrepreneurs. But also, if you know a market in California way better than I do, I would rather that somebody who knows that market really well is helping us to expand that market and using their capital to do it, while we're bringing the brand, the know-how, the expertise to help them. So those numbers we will see, right? We're early stage, but you can see what we've assumed here is that we have by 2030, 100 corporate-owned stores and at least 150 franchise-owned stores, which I actually think that these numbers could, of course, evolve to be much further on the franchise side.
$300,000 build-out is something that would be pretty attractive into a franchise. And it costs to start a lot of franchises is much higher, so that could be a growth.
So we don't have a hood system because we have a convection. We cook our food and we cook food in house that is served warm. We have a ventless hood system. We don't have a grill. We don't have a fryer. So that reduces the HVAC requirements that would otherwise be required. But we have a really diversified, and speaking to the point of novelty effect versus others coming in, that's what we have, a really sort of expansive menu from those sandwiches. So what you have right there are half sandwiches. That's really like what a catering box comes with. At the store, you'll get a larger sandwich that you can bite right into. If you have someone who says, For whatever reason, I just hate sandwiches. I don't want to touch a sandwich, and I want it as a bowl. Great. Well, we have warm greens bowls. We also have chopped salads, and we have soups, cold pressed juices. You can get the sides, like warm roasted chicken, jerk chicken, warm falafel bowls, all on sides for your kids. And we have a really diversified palette or menu selection that would enable anybody to find something that they would like.
Are you considering at some point also alternative sales channels, such as doing the grab and go and Kroger's or whatever?
Yeah, so as we speak right now, we actually have 2 breadless vending fridges live in 2 different locations. Like there's a company out in Troy that pays us a subscription fee to stock these fridges, and then they subsidize the cost for their employees, and we stock it and we make it and deliver it to the fridge, and then so they can swipe a credit card and take it out RFID. We have one of those in Tech Town as well. That's just one mechanism. So what are we doing here with this location is creating an entire business in a box that enables you. And the other benefit we think that this location doesn't have a huge amount of walking foot traffic is that it enabled us to build out a really diversified revenue channel. We have our own Breadless app where for pickup, delivery, curbside. We also do batch drop-offs at companies as well, where people can pre-order for a specific date and time and have all those orders grouped and arriving at a specific location. We have, the catering delivery, catering pickup. We also have the vending fridges. And this is where we are, right now. And the way we see it is every single store has the ability to support at least 3 vending fridges. So that means if you're a franchisee and you open a location in Boise, Idaho, and you don't want to just 100% rely on that foot traffic, we've built you a playbook for catering, you'll have your own app. We've also built you a business model for the vending fridges. We've built you an offsite catering model as well, so that you can replicate this, but not be tied to just foot traffic coming in the door. Yes.
I'm intrigued by, from a branding perspective, your name choice. I mean, to have your brand be what you aren't.
Or what we are, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as opposed to feature benefit, to use Breadless. That's what what went into that.
So interesting thing is we landed on Breadless as just a co-founding team because it just kind of rang off our tongues like, well, what is it? It's Breadless. Then we went through this robust branding exercise. And after a ton of back and forth and a million names, the branding team and everybody was like, why not use Breadless? At the end of the day, the most unique thing about Breadless is that there is no current definition for what Breadless is. It just means no bread. But if you walked into somewhere and said, I want it Breadless, they're like, well, what do you mean you want it Breadless? Do you want it just with meat on top of a shred of lettuce? Do you want it wrapped in something? Do you want it with pickles? There's no definition for what Breadless is. And we're creating an entire new category in a category that doesn't exist. So why not be the category leader nationwide in a category that doesn't yet exist and be the gold standard for what Breadless means and be Breadless?
And it makes sense.
But it was intentional. And then after a lot of rigor analysis, it stuck. Yes.
Just 2 questions. One, how are you determining the next best location? I mean, to learn the most, I think, and also make some money. And 2, is there any concern or any complexity to sourcing as you expand this, or is that pretty straightforward?
So 2 questions. First question with respect to real estate, super important, which is why the company that's our master broker is also an investor, and they specialize in data science to apply it to real estate locations. So not only are they working with us on selecting our next couple locations in the Metro Detroit, Michigan area, but they're also putting together our master expansion plan as well that will include in every single market, they'll be able to do the same sort of analysis to know how many Breadless can this market support, what are the exact corners we want to be on, and then they work with a local broker to then determine which locations in that specific areas will then be prime targets for us to then start negotiating, which will help us move with more confidence, speed, and precision now, but also then.
That's the supply chain question. You're almost
And then related to supply chain, there's a robust ecosystem for leafy supergreens, but we're the only company that is using leafy supergreens like Swiss chard, turnip greens, collard greens, dino kale as the foundation. So we have not had a problem sourcing, and all of the, so from merging, which has a supply chain division as well as a distributor, has helped us work with local farming suppliers and make that happen. But there's a robust network for this as we scale. But also, as one of the as the company that specializes in this, as we continue to roll out more locations, we're going to start to develop economies of scale and something that we're one of the only purchasers of.
Thanks.
Yes.
Jerry? I believe there's demand, no question. My household is. So let's assume it does take off and you get, in that range or even better. How can you protect this product from copycats? Be it either the really big boys and girls opening a separate line or somebody else following.
So I can tell you, when I got the job at Jimmy John's, a sandwich made for $10 an hour. When somebody comes in and they order an unwich, what does the staff do? Staff's like, oh crap, I have to make an unwich. Why? Because it's disruptive to their process flow, because they're predominantly an oven-baked bread operation. If you go to, I had one of my first rounds of diligence was on the phone with Sweetgreen, the founders of Sweetgreen, which is now they have raised hundreds of millions of dollars, public company, et cetera. Their founders on the phone said, oh, we experimented with lettuce wraps in our R&D lab. We found it operationally complex. I'm like, of course you found it operationally complex. You're a salad and bowl operation. It's very hard to do what we're doing. And we're not only doing it, we don't even use iceberg lettuce, which is just water. We use leafy super greens, Swiss chard, turnip greens, collard greens, dino kale. But why can we do it? Because it's the only thing that we do, right? We specialize in taking something that's really difficult and making it the core of what we do. So there absolutely will be copycats, but we want to be the gold standard nationwide in breadless sandwiches.
And on that note, additional questions for after we adjourn? You're going to stick around?
Yeah, I'll be,
All right,
I'll
cool.
be around.
Because you're going to think of something 5 minutes from now. Oh, I should ask him. No, ask him after. Right,
But again, no, thank you. I'm really.
Okay, so this is the part where I vamp and tell some silly story while he wakes up his laugh. And the silly story is we have a gross pointer here presenting late stage, well de-risked pharma play. A lot of us are allergic to pharma play because of all the risk and all the time it takes to get to harvest. And I was impressed when I saw Earl presented Birmingham Angels last month that he kind of figured that out and said, okay, well, here's a way to make it actually investor friendly from an industry that is normally not. Andrew, are you? You're just going to be moral sport. All right, Earl, you got this?
You want me to come up there?
No, only if you're talking.
No, he's going to help me answer questions.
Awesome. All right. Well, you get 15 minutes before that.
Yeah.
Take it away, Earl.
Well, thank you. So it did work. Wait a minute, it didn't work on my screen. 1 second.
There you go.
Well, it's working up there, so I guess I can. Why is it not? Forgive me, just 1 second.
Figure it out.
Okay, now if I go up here, then I'm good. Okay, thank you very much. It's really fun to be here. I only live a few miles away. This company was started inside of the Karmanos Cancer Institute in Detroit. We were the second tenant in Techtown behind Asteran, if those of you know that. And so it's really fun to come home. We were home the other day in Birmingham, as David mentioned, but we've been presenting mostly on the East Coast and West Coast, and here we are. So thank you very much for the opportunity to tell the story. So SciTech was created at the behest of the National Cancer Institute in the leadership of the Karmanos Cancer Institute, because they were running a clinical trial at Karmanos with a drug that was showing great potential, but never could realize the therapeutic level to achieve a reasonable outcome. What did we do? We took that drug, we combined it with a new drug delivery system to create a new entity, and we're bringing it into the clinic. Now, why is it exciting for you? Because it's short time to market, short clinical study to confirm its efficacy and safety, and an opportunity for an exit events or a continuation of the business that's pretty extraordinary for anyone. So SciTech created this drug using the drug fenretinide. It was first developed by Johnson & Johnson several decades ago. This drug was tested using all sorts of delivery systems against all sorts of diseases. The largest study was a 3,000 patient study in breast cancer prevention, where the drug was quite effective, where the drug was shown to be safe, but it was beaten to market by a drug called tamoxifen. You might have heard about that one. So J&J decided to walk away. They handed the drug to the National Cancer Institute, and that's how the drug eventually came to Karmanos to try to reach into all other cancer indications. By creating this drug, we also solved a delivery problem for other drugs like it. What is the problem with fenretinide? It doesn't dissolve in water. It's insoluble. So trying to get it distributed to cancer cells is problematic because of that. And this is, J&J, National Cancer Institutes, and dozens of other organizations try to solve the problem that we solved at Karmanos Cancer Institute. What did we do to get here? I mean, this was no trivial matter. We had to apply for grant funding from the National Cancer Institute. We had to prove the clinical concept in labs and then in animals. We had to file an extraordinarily complex patent worldwide to protect this unique technology. Those things were not trivial. We then moved on to identifying the clinical indications that would best respond to the drug. And then we had to negotiate approval to test the drug in what they call investigational new approval with the FDA. This was not trivial. Then we had to figure out how to make it in a sterile setting. This is a drug that gets injected into your veins, not swallowed, into your gut. So the drug has to be extremely sterile so it doesn't create huge problems. We tested it as a COVID drug starting in 2020, because the drug has been shown to be effective in viruses, and we validated that. We went on and raised money trying various approaches, including the convertible note round and crowdfunding. And here we are, and we negotiated the clinical relationship with Rush University Medical Center to start the study. So what happened? Oncology, I don't have to tell you about the unmet need. People are dying from cancer. So we solved, our real challenge was to solve the bioavailability problem that I'm talking about with a drug that was inexpensive, broadly applicable, and safe. And in essence, that's what we did. So this little picture here, I wish I could blow it up more. Think of a miniature onion, and the drug is packed between the layers of the onion, but instead of layers of an onion, it's fats called phospholipids. So the drug is protected from fluid water. It is delivered intravenously in that sandwich. It's delivered to the cancer cell. It binds with the cancer cell. It's absorbed by the cancer cell, goes to the nucleus, disrupts the DNA, results in programmed cell death, absent side effects, which is pretty remarkable. So the technology that we created was based on fenretinide as a base, using fatty substances to package it together with fenretinide. So it's a new drug delivery combination, ergo new intellectual property, new approval processes, long-term potential return, etc. It's in a nanoparticle, it's delivered, as I said, and it's delivered safely. What's different about this version of fenretinide than previous ones? One, we can deliver it in much higher doses. Two, we can create a concentric 15-time fold nanoparticle relative to anything else. What does that mean? We get the dose levels up, and we do it absent the side effects. Now let's get in, let's talk about the business, because that's what you really want to hear about, right? What's the opportunity for you? Well, let's start with competition. Well, there's a ton of competition for the cancer indications that we're going after, which I'll focus on in a second. But what do they all have in common? They're toxic, they're targeted to a specific cancer type, they're targeted to a protein. In essence, they're targeting a small subsegment of different types of cancer. Our drug is the opposite. It doesn't require pre-genetic dispositions. It targets all cancer cells. It is safe. It has no side effects to speak of. It's a quick infusion so that the patient can be in and out of outpatient centers efficiently and inexpensively. And because of all that, it's inexpensive. So from the point of view of competition, it's a really neat product. Market size. So the initial market is for T-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, small cell lung cancer, and eventually breast. That's the $2 million bubble there, okay? That's a pretty good sized market in and of itself. If you start combining that with other drugs or expand it beyond those cancer indications, which is likely, then the market jumps easily to $5 billion. If you now deliver other hydrophobic, water-resistant drugs like benretinide, and there are tons of them sitting out there, then it's an even bigger market. Here are cancer indications that have been shown in preclinical or in clinical studies to respond to benretinide. So think of the unmet need in these cancer indications by just looking at that slide. What's the money to be used for? What's the business opportunity? Clinical trials. We're going into clinical trials. We're making the drug as we speak. We just made some drug last week, and we're finalizing the plan to make the clinical batch to be used in a few months, starting at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago and 3 other sites, Thomas Jefferson University in Pennsylvania, Carmonas Cancer Institute, and the University of Michigan Cancer Center. What's unique about this little study? Limited number of patients, quick. We can determine in about the first 5 to 8 patients whether the drug is as safe as we believe and as effective as we believe, without the patient having to show outwardly that they're responding to the drug either negatively or positively. That's due to the new science around, evaluating the effect of cancer drugs. Okay, then we move on and we go to a larger population of patients to confirm where we are now looking for the therapeutic response visibly, so to speak. Patients going into various types of responses, complete response, cure, partial response, and so on. And we can do that with 44 patients. It's an 18-month study. What does that mean? We could be in the market and shortly after that. So it's a really unique investment we're asking you to participate in. The team. Okay, so Andrew Stump, who's joined me here, is our Chief Financial Officer. Andrew also is part of Storm Lake Capital. He's affiliated and a senior manager at Cadillac Casting. He brings extraordinary financial and strategic and investment experience to our team, and he's affiliated with a whole bunch of people up in Rochester who want to put money in and who really like this. Ralph Parchment in the upper left now works for the National Cancer Institute as their main internal drug development leader. So to have our inventor and co-founder sitting at the forefront of cancer therapy development is an extraordinary opportunity. I defy you to find little companies like ours that have a talent like that. David Schaefer, who was going to be here and where we had some confusion, came from Raymond James as an investment banker, where he spent several decades being one of the top producers in the biotech space, raising money. So we have extraordinary fundraising experience. And the rest of the people, Mike Burns, for example, ran Ferndale Pharma. Some of you might know that in Ferndale before retiring. So we have the people to bring this product into the market. What are we looking for? We're looking to close out our $2.5 million convertible note round. That it allows us to do that early, 5 to 8 patients that I talked about, to reconfirm the safety and efficacy. The terms are a 6% coupon, 2-year maturity, and a conversion rate of 25% discount to the Series A that probably won't be applicable, or a maximum of a $17.5 million valuation, which most likely will be. Okay. Storm Lake Capital Group that he's been part of is the largest investor, or so a series of investors. There are about 50 people that have participated in that. Harlem River Navy is a family fund out of Las Vegas, Nevada. The guy that was founded it was a Goldman man, so lots of experience in biotech. His senior partner ran biotech investment for the Rockefeller family. Okay, and then the National Foundation for Cancer Research, a top early stage funder of unique technology that believed in us so much they put the money in. What is the money to be used for? Primarily to complete, am I up past the clock? Is that what the noise is? No, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. So mostly to fund the clinical trial. I mean, that's the holy grail. Prove that it works in humans with the new approach. Secondly, obviously we have to operate the company. And then given the uncertainty of so many aspects of developing a drug, we have a contingency plan to make sure that we have sufficient money. What can the exit look like? All right, well, here are some examples of exits that have taken place in the last couple of years. So you could go down to the low end and look at Coherus, $150 million the company was sold for. If you took the $17.5 million valuation that most likely will be the conversion rate for a convertible note, I mean, this is a 10x opportunity on the low end. The most likely, however, is on the top end, Trillium. Trillium developed a drug for the same disease that we're starting with, T-cell lymphoma. They were at the same development point that we are 18 months before Pfizer bought them for $2.3 million. We have a better product than they did. So that it's, the opportunity on the upside is very significant. Yeah, I'm sorry, let me go back and say this.
We're out of time. Do save the, that's what that sounds like. Do save the rest of your presentation though for chit chat after we adjourn.
Okay.
Are sticking around?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's really.
Well, we got some Q&A. Maybe somebody give you a softball.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
favorite question. What was your next slide going to be?
The pathway approvals we have, thank you very much. The approvals from the FDA that are really important for a fast clinical trial, for getting a head start with what they call orphan drug designation, which gives you tax credits and market exclusivity for 7 years when you enter the market, and an accelerated plan from the FDA to get getting approval shortly after we complete the clinical study. And I would have just said thank you after that. So
I wanted to give you an offering.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back and clarify the origin story because I got lost a little bit in that. You said that retinide, if I'm saying it right, was beaten to market by somebody else and so shelved. So now you reinvigorate it by putting this phospholipid on it. How does that change the competitive dynamic between what's in the market already?
So when it was developed by, it was really McNeil, which moved on to being J&J. Okay, so they turned the rights over to the National Cancer Institute, that then tested it thoroughly and couldn't solve the bioavailability problem. The patent ran out for finretinide way back then. Okay, so we now have a brand new product by combining finretinide with the new delivery system. So we have, the new patent
You
life.
stated though, Fenrettonite didn't win when they went head to head before. Why is it going to win now?
Well, it's not a reasonable comparison. Okay, they were trying to use it only for breast cancer prevention, and they were facing the same bioavailability problem in that study. And frankly, they just simply didn't want to follow a year later the introduction of tamoxifen. So it was a business decision, not because the drug wasn't working. Then the Cancer Institute took it over because they believed that it had potential as a therapeutic, not as a prevention drug. And this is what we've been developing it for, as a therapeutic. And there were about 50 clinical studies and about 800 preclinical studies that made the case for this drug having tremendous potential in that capacity.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand whatever the other drug was. It's treating. You presented a long list of cancers and diseases that Fenrettonite can address. And I just wanted to make sure that other drug, more competitive in one circumstance, isn't going to be more competitive in all those others.
No, it's totally not applicable. Okay. Yeah.
55 comprehensive cancer centers, why Vermont?
I'm sorry, say that again.
NCI has Fenrettonite, they want to breathe new life into it. They've got 55 comprehensive cancer institutes to choose from. Why Vermont?
Well, it was 40 back when they were doing it, but they're 42. But they were running clinical studies at both Carmonas Cancer Institute and Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, okay, to test it as all comers, so to speak. And so that's how this whole thing.
They had some experience.
So they already had the experience. And then once they had that and they couldn't solve the delivery problem, then they went to both institutions and asked them to solve the problem. And both institutions set out to do it. Children's Hospital of Los Angeles created a company called Syrinx that was our major competitor until a few years ago, when they shut down because they realized they couldn't work around our patent, and they couldn't create a product that would be as effective as ours, so they couldn't raise any money. But in the process of doing so, they conducted a lot of clinical studies using a whole bunch of different types of delivery systems, showing that if you get the dose level up in Fenrettonite, it's quite effective. So that is really the foundation why this drug, why we're so confident it's going to work. So thank you, Syrinx. Yes.
Your patent protects this combination of Fenrettonite and the delivery mechanism, or it protects the delivery mechanism? So.
Okay, so our patent covers. I'm sorry, my brain's not functioning. So the patent covers, method of manufacturing. It covers composition of matter. It covers use for the delivery system used with Fenrettonite or other future drugs. So it's very broad, and it's also very specific. Okay, so that it's very hard to work around it because of that. Does that answer your question?
Well, so you would have for 7 years, I think, if I remember correctly, the unique ability to use this delivery method also with other drugs.
No. So that the 7 years applies to what they call the rare disease designation, which is called orphan drug designation. Okay, so that once you've applied for that and shown why your drug would be so good, then when you commercialize it, you get 7 years of exclusivity no matter what's going on in the marketplace. That has nothing to do with the patent. Okay, all right. And then the wonderful thing about our drug is most of those diseases you saw up there, other than breast cancer, are considered rare diseases, and therefore we would be going and getting orphan drug designations for them as well. The other key part of orphan designation is you get tax deductions for 50% of the cost of developing the drug for that particular indication. So it's a huge benefit down the road for investors from that point of view. And in terms of IP, there will be a huge additional amount of IP generated once we start the clinical trials and start tinkering with the formulation or the dose levels or whatever. So what we've got now is only scratching the surface of what will come later once we get into the clinic. Yes.
Right, that was actually my exact question. Thanks for that. To follow up on that, I know you showed a slide with your initial market, $2 billion. Is that all in retinoid? It's exclusive to just drugs that treat, I think, with 3 diseases.
Yeah, those were just the 3 initial diseases we're targeting, and really the 2 billion really applies to only 2. That's T-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and small cell lung cancer. Once you add on breast or start adding other cancer indications, the number escalates pretty quickly. And then it escalates even further when you start combining fenretinide with other therapeutics, that are fairly effective, but the patient can't tolerate the dose levels anymore, or they need other therapeutics to mop up what that particular therapy was missing. That's where fenretinide's prevention capability will kick in to serve as a combination drug with lots of other cancer types.
Clear. So it sounds like the delivery mechanism could apply to other drugs. Right now, is all of the work you're doing exclusive to the combination and
So the majority of the clinical proof of concept that we've done has been with fenretinide in treating cancer. Okay, but it's the delivery system. I mean, it's very specific in the design and the patent, and we can apply that to other retinoids, for example, like fenretinide that have been shelved, but once were considered to have tremendous potential. So there's, the possibilities are almost beyond imagination. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I understand correctly, this fenretinide can address a number of cancer types that also have more specific drugs that can treat those cancer types.
Could be used in combination with those, yes.
Okay, in combination. Okay.
So for example, B-cell non-Hodgkin lymphoma is treated with a drug called CHOP, or combination of, okay, and the rituximab is the main drug in that. There was a study done out at Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center in Seattle, combining fenretinide with a lousy delivery system in combination with CHOP, and the 5-year survivability of patients who went on that was significantly improved. So that's the kind of potential.
So it's typically more of a complementary delivery of the fenretinide and it's called the more specific drug, or is it a replacement?
No, neither. What it is you're talking about, they have various mechanisms of action. How do they impact the cancer cell? And so fenretinide has its own complement of mechanisms of action, and other drugs have their own. You put the two together, you potentially get a greater result. So you're attacking the cancer in many more ways, making sure that those cells that got missed in the initial therapy get picked up in the combination therapy. And where the patient has developed an intolerance, you can lower the dose of the drug that's creating the intolerance and ratchet up the dose of the fenretinide. So you're not losing the continued therapeutic impact on the cancer cell. I don't know if that answers it, but yeah, I'm not the doctor, but yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah. But the good news is that we can be in the market with this quickly, because all the data that I was relating to, from the 50 different clinical studies that have already been conducted, none of that is our data. Okay, so we're not sitting here promising something that wasn't validated by lots of organizations.
Yeah, I'm trying to balance the equation of efficacy and side effects and replacement of one with another and the complementarity of the two. And it sounds like it's
I give you an example. There was a pharmaceutical company we were talking to, and they said, as soon as you get response data, meaning where the patient starts to respond to the drug, we want to join you, okay? And I said, what the heck's that mean? Well, you just made the case that there are about 15 cancer types that would most likely respond to fenretinide, and we believe you, okay? And there's no way you're going to fund 15 clinical trials run in parallel. So we'll partner with you, and we'll collaboratively run those 15 clinical studies. And if they're really successful, we'll completely buy you out, or we'll find a partner to join us and buy you out. Well, and the numbers, I don't even want to go into the numbers. They were, it's sort of, it's beyond my comprehension. Yes, Jim.
Jim, and then there.
So, I've got a not complicated question.
Oh, wonderful.
So what's your background? I mean, why should we?
Why me, right?
Why should we trust me?
30 seconds, too. Okay, so I ran consumer product manufacturing and distribution companies until I got recruited, as a volunteer at the Carmanos Cancer Institute to help raise money for a breast cancer detection technology. Okay, that Delphinus, and I ran that development project for 10 years. Delphinus is now going to be, it's a huge success. So that's one reason. My background running manufacturing companies, I would be the last guy on the planet you would think should have done this. But the point is, I did, because I had amazing people around me who brought the kind of expertise that I was able to tie it together in a business manner to make it work. And I often would say to myself, why am I making this decision? Because these folks who were highly specialized couldn't connect the dots, and I could. That's my claim to fame.
My question was related. You implied that the exit might be in 2 or 3 years. The team that you displayed on that screen, is that all you need to get from here to there? Or
Absolutely. That team,
composition change?
absolutely. That team can get us there. That wouldn't be the team that you would take going, we would add to that team, and I would probably be off the team, when we start commercializing the product, okay? We'd bring in somebody who has tremendous experience bringing a drug to market it if we do that rather than get bought out. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Well, your presentation implied you were never going to get commercialization.
Well, I think, the answer is
that's still an option.
you must work on both and let the cards fall where they might. Okay? One, you want to make sure you generate the kind of return. If you're going to sell out, and if you're not, there's huge options to carry this forward. I mean, remember, we could keep developing new products with the delivery system, okay? So the opportunity for combo therapies, new drugs, we could keep this going quite a while if that's what we chose, if that seemed to make economic sense. We're not trying to predict that.
Once, going twice. All right.
We'd love to have you. Thank you.
So 11th hour, Moody shows up. Thank you. You had me sweating, man.
No, sorry.
No worries. There's 1,000 things to do when you're an entrepreneur. We first saw Moody Matan.
Can I borrow this?
Does it work on yours?
Yeah.
All right. Present BrandXR to this group in 21? In 20?
Yeah.
No, I think
Why?
Kabir, you were 20. He was 21. And what we do on our updates is remind everybody who we are and what we do, because not everybody remembers. What have you been doing since the last time you were here? And what are you doing next? He is.
Cool.
Moody Matan, BrandXR.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Moody Matan, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of BrandXR. And BrandXR is a no-code augmented reality platform, and we help brands bring their products to life and bring their brand to life with interactive 3D augmented reality experiences. So augmented reality today is a proven sales tool. Some of the most innovative retailers like Amazon and IKEA are using augmented reality and seeing impressive results. They're allowing their customers to digitally place furniture inside of their homes and interact with these products in a digital way to help them press buy. And this is leading to incredible conversions, 11 times better conversions versus traditional product photos, 3 times more product engagement, and customers that view a product in AR are 44% more likely to add that product to their cart. And this is all being done on the 2 billion AR-capable smartphones that are in the market today. So if AR works so well, why isn't everyone using it? The problem is that there's a massive skills gap in 3D augmented reality creation. To build a simple AR app would require a 3D modeler, a 3D animator, and engineers that know 3D engines like Unity and Unreal. And these are skill sets that most Fortune 1000 companies just don't have. We know this because since 2017, BrandXR has been a leading XR company in Detroit and Orlando, helping companies like NASA, the NBA, and LG create entirely new 3D experiences for their customers. And in the background, we built our own tools to build augmented reality cheaper and faster and make it accessible to everyone to be able to build these technologies. That's the BrandXR Studio, and it's a no-code augmented reality platform to create, publish, and measure these experiences all inside of one platform. Think of it as a Squarespace or Wix, but instead of building a website, you're building these 3D augmented reality experiences. So an AR experience that would take a team of 5 highly skilled engineers over $100,000 and over 130 days to build from scratch, you can build with the BrandXR Studio with your existing team for just $1,000 a month. And our revenue, we have 2 pricing tiers at BrandXR. We have a $12K a year tier and a $120K a year tier. We have $735,000 in annual recurring revenue, and we're growing 60% quarter over quarter. The market that we're tackling is huge. So this is the e-commerce market, the global e-commerce market. So you can think of this as any product that's being sold for over $1,000, with a product photo, we can replace with an interactive 3D augmented reality experience. This is a little bit about me and my founder. But you know, the big update why we're here today is we're closing out our $1.5 million pre-seed round. So we've raised $1.1 million already, led by Morgan Stanley. We went through their multicultural innovation lab last year, and closing out this round to hit 1.2 million in ARR, and then raise our a larger seed round soon. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and if anyone has a product company, we can help you sell more products using these 3D AR experiences.
Thanks, Cody. I need that too. And then our last update of the day from, you said it was from 2020. We have Kabir Maiga with PassiveBolt. PassiveBolt, I ran into at Brand Angels. You were part of Michigan Capital Network's showcase last fall. And what was so interesting was the pivot that happened between the company that we heard about in 2020 and the company that we're seeing today. You went from 2080 to 80/20, and you are going to use slides. Okay. Hurry up, I'm out of story here, man. Didn't see that one coming. Really thought this was going to be a hardware module and integration play with some with their own house brand kind of leading, and then the exit was going to be with Schlage or Master or one of these guys. And now it's all about the software, isn't it?
It is.
All right, tell us about it. Good be your my guy.
All right, so I'll just be brief because I only have 5 minutes. But so today you basically have to use usernames and passwords and key cards to get into virtual spaces like websites, apps, and physical spaces like offices, hotels, etc. And to do that, you have to register, which means you have to give your PII, personal identity info, to that service provider. They store them, and for every single service provider that generates a digital identity for you, which is an account number or user ID, you have to surrender PII and they store them in massive stacks. That's a obviously high value target for hacking, and there are famous examples of breaches. The second problem with this too is that there's now privacy laws that govern how service providers can handle data, your personal identity. We used to have absolutely no rights over what we did, right? You're all familiar with GDPR likely, but now there's CCPA that went into effect this month. That's California's version of GDPR, which is a Consumer Privacy Act, which basically regulates what they can and cannot do with your data and returns control back to you as a user. So they have to do whatever you say, including forgetting all of your data if you wanted them to. That's a new compliance cost center for companies, especially office managers, for example, especially, and then we have more laws coming from Colorado, New York, and national laws, etc. So what we're doing essentially is just creating a brand new paradigm, one under which you as a user own and control your PII and your digital identity. You create your own digital identity instead of a service provider creating it for you. And that digital identity then gets published on a blockchain. Making sure the video is playing there. So that digital identity basically gets published on a blockchain. Why blockchain? So it's publicly accessible, but yet it's immutable. And that's not your PII that's on the blockchain, to be clear, just cryptographic keys that can be used to be associated with you. The PII itself lives on your own device. Service providers don't store them. What you do is you grant access to them when you interact with them. Kind of like how you authorize cookies on a browser. You can authorize them to know your name, your date of birth, whatever it is that they need to provide a service, but not to store. You manage your own data stores. They can provide access to spaces, for example, could be a virtual space or a physical space where you can gain access to it. You're able to, utilize your own digital identity, proof of identity at that space to be able to gain access. A quick example is I booked a room at the Best Restaurant. They send me an invitation to connect via simple text. It shows up in my identity wallet. All I do is just accept that connection request. Now I have a peer-to-peer connection with them. 24 hours prior to check-in, I get that message from them. This is data that I am storing that I'm now going through and permissioning. So this is all the stuff that they want to know about me, that they need access to. I can permission that. I can I can refuse access to certain things. I can show them my travel preferences, such as, I want an extra pillow, as an example. I can set how long they have access to my personal data. I can review their policy, I can sign it, and that profile is sent. That hotel now has all they need for the duration of my stay without ever compromising my personal identity information. They send me a key to that room, they've assigned room 402 to me, shows up, and again, in this peer-to-peer communication system, I accept that, boom, it gets now added. If I go back to my spaces that I have access to, under lodging, I've got a new space. That's room 402 for that Best Western. When I show up, grab it, tap it. Doesn't matter if my phone is dead, it's protocol agnostic. It means it can work over NFC, Bluetooth, etc. Over NFC, my phone could be dead. It would work just like a hotel key card. I'll tap it, it'll still be able to cryptographically prove my identity and be able to show that. So I'm breezing through because I have some stuff I want to get to. But last time I was here in 2020, we had $60,000 in revenue. We've grown significantly since then. We really did, originally focus on just, what we used to call tier one, especially being a spinoff from Canada Automotive. But we've since expanded that to a specific vertical, being hotels out of the gate, and then, next step being car rentals, just to really create a smooth travel experience. We're hoping to double revenue this year to $6 million. We have established ourselves as an innovation leader with 5 patents, 3 granted, 2 pending. I am on the advisory committee at MIT for W3C, which is the standards organization for the web, associate member at DIF, etc. So we really have established PassiveBolt just as an innovation leader, more broadly speaking. Our team spun out from Continental Automotive, where we help pioneer and scale keyless entry vehicles, over 120 million cars. Continental is the largest investor in the company. And right now we're bridging to a Series A. So we have 3 potential lead investors to lead our Series A round, which will be later in Q2, Q3. We're waiting for just a couple more milestones. Well, one specific milestone, which is deployment. We have contracted 13 hotel properties for this hotel specific application of the technology, and we're looking to deploy a couple prior to the A raise. This bridge is helping us get there. This is the last, this is the last raise that we have under a convertible note with favorable terms, and it's up to $1 million. We are not planning to raise the full $1 million necessarily. It looks like I'm out of time, so thank you so much for your attention.
Yes. I know I'm going to hit you up after because I want to hear that pivot story.
Yeah.
On their way to growth, profitability, exit, companies don't always turn out the way we thought. Thank you. Thank you. I've got a few updates from the Pointe Angels presenters that aren't here today. Okay. No. Yep. Catalyst XL. Catalyst XL has been super busy. This is just the business that they're getting over the finish line in December. And they send me one of these every month. And there's some carryover from month to month, but generally speaking, their deal flow pipeline moves. Really happy. This is like we were first money in on Catalyst XL. We had several Pointe Angels all involved in that first money raise. Saw them at the Michigan Angel Summit in October. What they've got coming up is in health clubs like your Gold's Gym and your UpHealth, where another no-code platform, borrowing a term from Moody here, getting rid of the app developers and replacing all of those affinity and loyalty apps with their no-code platform. Next, you've got Cognition, who we saw present in November. They're actually going to be back here in Michigan to talk with Plymouth Growth Partners. That's a VC that's going to take out a good chunk of their raise. And I asked them if they would please leave a little slice for Pointe Angels since we were kind enough to bring them to Michigan. They closed the year out just 50K shy of 5 million, hitting all of the numbers that they had set for themselves and hitting a really important validation milestone, which is converting their legacy perpetual license customers to SaaS annual model. Freightroll was originally slated to give an update tonight, and they had to cancel. So I'm really grateful that we had Moody and Kabir. Freightroll has done this partnership. Actually, I don't know as much about it as the folks from Four Kites, but the field that they're in, the digital transformation of bills of lading and of transportation documents for trucking. They saw some initial hiccups with Nestle, and then it just absolutely took off. Neurable is one that only Pointe Angels is looking at. This is a U of M spin-out, former student of mine that reached out. They got a huge acceleration to their raise out of some Taiwanese investors who are going to overfill their round. But that's still an opportunity. All of these are opportunities for Pointe Angels investors. We put them in the monthly Angel Wire for just that reason, so that you have each month the opportunities to get into these deals that no other Michigan Angel group is looking at. And finally, Ulendo. which we heard from Bell Capital, their raise is filled. We just got the diligence file from the Accelerate Blue Fund at U of M. This is one page out of that file. And they use the same system that that Applied Licensing that Kurt and Tom use, where they break out all of the factors of the business model validation and risk, and they give them a red, a yellow, or a green. And you expect mostly yellows, a couple of reds. The reds are what we lean in on. This thing was all yellow with a couple of greens, which you don't usually see in a fund that is based on philanthrocapitalism and has different expectations because of the donors to the U of M. Speaking of applied licensing, we had a tradition at Applied Licensing. It's called the deal bottle. When a deal would close, we'd produce a very special bottle, not your usual top shelf, but something a little higher than that. And we would drink a toast to the success of the deal and of the venture for that deal. I'd like to invite up the Pointe Angels investors who participated in deals in August, in September, October, and November. I'm looking at you because I have another deal bottle that it's going to be the Pointe Angels deal bottle. Who knows Blanton's?
It happens to be my favorite bourbon, so this is perfect. This is perfect.
I'll let you open it, Jim.
You got a 40 ounce, maybe?
No.
Somebody joining me?
Craig?
Can't leave till it's gone.
We are missing a few angels today who participated in deals.
Craig, are you in?
After this.
I don't know if that's. There you go, sir. All right. Thank you. This is a nice touch.
This is a nice tradition that we're going to whip the deal bottle out when we have cause to celebrate.
Might I pour a third?
Just so that I can participate in our ceremony here.
That was a terrible pour.
No bartender for you.
Mm-hmm.
2 Pointe Angels, to deals, to success, and to friendship.
Yeah. Cheers. 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 How about just some good luck too? This is great. Thank you very much.
All right.
And thanks everybody for participating in this. Obviously, this works through network effect. All of us coming together, sharing our ideas, creating a critical mass so that the founders have reason to come and we put capital work. So
Thank you,
cheers,
Craig.
group.
And thank you, Craig, for providing our vittles tonight.
And we have,
We
if
have-
anyone wants to start diligence on Breadless, we have.
Yeah, we have some
sandwiches.
Breadless and some snacks and wine. We stand adjourned, hang out, talk to the CEOs, talk amongst yourselves. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Oh, thank you.